A reclusive teacher at a boarding school has to stay with one of his students for Christmas break after hearing that he has nowhere to go. Sound cool? Well, damn it, it should, because I'm here to talk about the Holdovers from 2023. So I've been doing some thinking lately. Over the last decade or so, I've gotten really into horror films. I've been saying that it's my favorite genre, and it's really all I've been wanting to watch. I think at one point I went like 5 years without watching anything else, and as much as I will continue to obsess over the genre, I think that I was using them to hide in the dark part of my mind, And I'm sorry if I get a little deep on you for a moment, but at least hear me out. It's gonna get positive, I promise. I've spent a lot of these last few years feeling angry and bitter, resentful. These last few years have been pretty hard on me, They've been hard on all of us. And I use my love of horror to feed that anger and, hopelessness that I saw in society, and I avoided things that, might make me feel vulnerable. I mean, it was pretty easy when some of my recent favorites were coming out, which, I'm very grateful for. I felt right at home watching Pearl and Art the Clown hack people to bits, or hell, even Michael Myers. I really like the last 3 Halloween films. But then I remember that it's healthy to have variety in your life, and I often forget that. So recently I've returned to other non-horrific movies that also make me happy. I got back into Wes Anderson films. I mean, sure, depression is like one of the main themes in most of his work, but to me it's also about fighting back against it. And I think I love them now more than ever. I rewatched and reviewed Pig from 2021, a film that had a huge impact on me. It reminded me that you can make things right without giving in to your anger. I saw The Iron Claw, and it reminded me that even when losing people that you love, you can still move on and make the most of what you have left. And then I rewatched one of my old favorites, Sideways from 2004. I had forgotten how much I loved it, and I love it as much today as, when I first saw it. Whatever I've been feeling lately, I'm gonna roll with it. So I decided to take a peek into the director of Sideways, Alexander Payne, and I learned that he had a movie out in 2023 called The Holdovers. It even has Paul Giamatti, so fucking sign me up. I bought the DVD, and I even picked up 2 of Alexander Payne's other films, Nebraska and About Schmidt, but I haven't watched those yet. This is his first film in like 6 years, and I'm happy to see it touching a lot of people and getting great reviews. I needed this, and I think a lot of others did too. I'm just gonna say it right now. This was brilliant, and I loved the hell out of it. So you have Paul Giamatti as Paul Hannum, a devoted history teacher, and when I say devoted, I mostly mean about his job. The kids, well, he's a hard ass and he kind of hates them all. He is super passionate about history, though, especially Roman history. He's constantly referencing the Romans throughout the entire runtime, and it is brilliant. He loves the school, too. I mean, it is literally his entire life. He's a bit of an old grump and doesn't have any family and only has a select few friends from the school, which he rarely ever leaves. And then we have Angus Tully, played by Dominic Sessa, who is left at the school by his mom and stepdad so they can do something together instead. And then we have the kitchen supervisor, Mary Lamb, played wonderfully by Divine Joy Randolph, who stays as well to cook for Paul and Angus. She adds an interesting element to the film with a tragic story of her son recently losing his life while serving in the Vietnam War. I didn't see that coming at all, and her character just added an extra layer to this. So you have the 3 main characters, all very different from each other, all struggling with different things, coming together and bonding over it. All of Paul's students pretty much hate him, as much as he hates them back. He sees them as rich, spoiled brats who don't respect the history that he's so passionate about. He is overly hard on them, and his grading definitely reflects that. And all he wanted was to spend the holidays reading mystery novels by himself. The first act here was good, but you are just kind of starting to get to know Paul and Mary and all of the kids and even some of the school staff. You don't really know yet who the main characters are, and there's a lot going on all at once. But once all the kids leave, things get stripped back to where they need to be, and you can focus on the handful of main characters. And then from the second act on, this film just gets better and better as it goes. With each scene, you learn a little more about them and their individual struggles. You learn about Angus's family problems, and your heart breaks for the kid. There's nothing harder to me than watching kids hurting. You watch Mary dealing with the loss of her son, and she's a strong woman, as strong as it gets, but nothing can prepare you for that level of tragedy. And you learn about Paul and why he is the way he is. Sure, he's cranky, but he's a good man underneath all of that. What all of this reminded me of is that people are the way they are for a reason. And, you know, there's way more to people than what we see on the outside. I'm going to try not to forget that. I wasn't really prepared for the heaviness here. I only read stuff about people calling this like a comfy, warm sweater, and sure, at moments it is. But there's also some heavy emotional parts that I just wasn't ready for. I wouldn't change a thing, though, don't get me wrong, because this is just a beautiful film, a true spiritual successor to Sideways, one of Alexander Payne's previous films. The performances of the three leads here are some of my favorites of recent years, and this just might be my favorite film of 2023, even though I didn't get around to watching it till 2024. It's at least, I think, maybe a tie for me with The Iron Claw. You get some great cinematography work from Igil Brild, who worked on In Bruges from 2008, another one of my favorites. Check that out if you haven't. Maybe I'll review it sometime. And of course, let's not forget the absolutely amazing script from David Hemmingson. It just doesn't get any better. The storyline, the dialogue, it's just flawless. I'm really happy to see the Holdovers praised critically across the board, and it is said to be kind of a return to form for Alexander Payne. Though I can't say that for myself, I'm still catching up with his work. He's 2 for 2 in my eyes so far, and I'm already adding this to my list of favorites right next to Sideways. The Holdovers is an absolute flawless film, and you can bet your ass I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. You owe it to yourself to watch this. You need it, and you deserve it. Cheers, guys.